Okay, so I'll get going here. First thing I want to do is I want to thank the OBS software for providing this open source version of their streaming software. Um, Open source is very dear to my heart, and I think open source really makes the world go round. So kudos to them for that. Um, to achieve the highest video rate on this broadcast, I've opted for a higher latency, which means there's a 25-second delay between when what I'm saying and what you see on the screen. So keep that in mind if you ask any questions. It'll be about 30 seconds before I even read the question. And finally, I want to thank everybody who has supported our organization and our proposal. It means a lot to me to see the support and to see people willing to roll up their sleeves and join the movement. It's really something. So I grow more impressed with the Tron community daily. It's very active and it's very protective. Some good people who really care a lot about Tron, and a lot, they're not just in it for the money. They really have some sincere beliefs in what Tron's doing and everything. So let me introduce myself. My name is Jason Neely, and I started the Community Node organization, and I'm putting together a group of people to help run a node on the upcoming Tron Main Net blockchain. So this broadcast is for people who don't know anything about blockchain or cryptocurrency or Tron for that matter. So I'm going to start with the basics. If you're seeing this and you're skipping ahead, don't skip too far, because I'm going to discuss how all of that applies and relates to the Tron Main Net. So what is a cryptocurrency? Now, I like to call cryptocurrency a digital asset, because take Bitcoin, for example. Bitcoin's worth $9,000 a coin. Anybody could replicate Bitcoin tomorrow, do the exact same thing, issue the same coin. It would not be worth $9,000. The reason why Bitcoin is worth that much is, excuse the phrase, it's because it exists. There's a lot of time and energy invested in Bitcoin, and that's what gives it its value. Now, there have been thousands of these alternate cryptocurrencies, and they all start out practically worthless. But as they gain adoption and become more useful, they gain value. And they become a digital asset. So that's what we've seen with Tron. Tron started off practically worthless, and now it's worth about 8 cents, 9 cents a coin. I think a lot of people's opinions about Bitcoin stem from the fact that it is worth $9,000. And so they call it a scam. But what if Bitcoin was only worth $1? Would they still be calling it a scam? I don't think they would, because they see Bitcoin's rapid appreciation as unsustainable and a big red flag to investors. And, it should be. They're right. Bitcoin is a very risky investment at this point. But that has nothing to do with its efficiency as a way of transferring value from one person to another. So the problem with banking in the modern era is it takes way too long for an electronic transfer to clear. International settlements take even longer. Cryptocurrency can handle these cross-border transactions in seconds, just as fast as an email. Without currency conversion, without the need for special bank accounts that help with currency conversion. So what is a blockchain? Well, we all know what a chain is. There are links and they're joined together. in the blockchain, the blocks hold transactions. So you've got a cryptocurrency and it gets traded from one person to another. Every time it does, that's a transaction. And that transaction gets listed and grouped together with all the other transactions. And then after a certain interval, with Tron it's a second, with some it's 10 seconds or 2.5 minutes or some even 10 minutes. And that's, they close the block and start a new block. And that closed block will have hundreds or thousands of transactions in it. And what they do is they run this mathematical equation, this checksum on the data that's in the block. And they get this hash, and it's like, I don't know, 84 characters long. And the thing about the hash is you can't change any of the information in the block without changing the hash. So it's this condensed version of all the information. And you'll know if anything changes because then the hash won't jibe anymore. It won't be the right hash. And with the blockchain, they close the block, they generate a hash. The next block includes that hash in the second block, so they're linked together. And they know how to find the block before it, and it just creates this chain. Every block adds to it, adds to the chain. So what is the Tron Main Net, and why is it such a big deal? Okay, so the Tron Main Net is going to have a few different capabilities. First, foremost, it'll carry the Tronix cryptocurrency. That's abbreviated TRX. Okay. It will also allow the creation of a Tron 20 token. And right now, that is very comparable to what Ethereum is doing with its ERC token. For those of you who aren't aware of this, Ethereum is a blockchain cryptocurrency upon which many, many other cryptocurrencies have built themselves using their ERC20 token. And I'll kind of explain that process in a minute. The reason why so many people have chosen Ethereum is because Ethereum blockchain also allows the creation of contracts. And these are self-executing contracts. And it's probably the coolest development in the last 20 years, if not longer. Because, like, for example, what I like to use as an example. Let's say that you bought something very expensive online. Before the seller gets that money, they have to provide a tracking number and have that package been picked up by the package service. And at that point, the blockchain will release the money that you sent and the transaction will be completed. That's going to be really cool for the upcoming Web 4.0 because it will allow transactions to occur with relatively untrustworthy vendors, people who you would not normally trust. Through this escrow contract system, you'll have very little risk, and it'll open the door to a lot more vendors, and vendors who won't have to sell their stuff through an outlet like Amazon or eBay, because Amazon and eBay become the trusted vendor in those situations. Okay, and then the fourth thing that the Tron mainnet is going to have are distributed applications, or dApps. And so the really cool thing about these dApps is the mainnet won't just be hosting the software for these applications. Mainnet will be running these programs in the cloud. And so once you've uploaded your dApp to the Tron mainnet, it's sort of set it and forget it. It will run on its own. It's not tied to a server, so there won't really be any, server-related problems. You won't need to restart the server, it won't hang, etc., etc. Assuming you wrote your dApp correctly. So now let's say you're an aspiring web developer and you want to build one of these dApps. And so the example I'm using, and it's actually what my organization is going to be creating as an application, sort of a little how-to for everyone to see how this all works. So the example I'm using is a coin flip game. And it's going to pay you tokens when you guess right. And so in addition to the game itself, you're going to need a gaming token. So this TRX20 will let you create a token out of the Tron on the Tron Main Net. So when you make a TRX token, or a Tron 20 token, I should say, you're going to decide how many tokens you want to create and how many Tronix TRX you want to invest in the value of these tokens. So for instance, you could make 1 million tokens and you could spend 1 TRX when creating your tokens, and that means each token will have a value of 1/1,000,000th of a TRX. Or you could spend 100 Tronix coins and create 10 tokens, and then each token would be worth 10 Tronix. So you have just unlimited choices here when you're creating the value of your token, when you're creating the number of tokens. So once you've got all the details figured out and your application is ready to run, you'll upload this to the Tron Main Net, and where it will live and serve you forever. Justin Sun, the founder and CEO of Tron Labs, calls this the Web 4.0. So what is Web 4.0? Let me roll back and say, well, what was Web 1.0? That was the first web pages you ever saw. It was straight HTML. What you see is what you get. The content never changes. It's just a static web page. Web 2.0 was the content management system, like WordPress or Joomla or Drupal, and these let you create users who could post articles and add comments and all of that. That's a database-backed website. The actual website never changes in that situation. All that stuff that you add to it gets loaded into a database and then pulled dynamically when the page loads. Web 3.0 is what I call HTML5 standard. And that's about 4 years old. And we really haven't seen much of it yet. The HTML5 standard will provide a very content-rich experience for the web. It will let you store things in web pages. It'll let you drag and drop files from your desktop to the browser. It'll let you draw on the web page. And it'll have web pages that interact with each other. So it's some incredible capabilities that really have not been implemented yet. So the Web 4.0 is Justin Sun's version of the Tron Main Net. And so one of the beauties of the Tron Main Net is the way it will use cryptocurrency addresses the same way that the internet uses email addresses to send information to users right now. At the moment, the real two forms of push data are RSS feeds and email. So when the Tron Main Net launches and you have one of these dApps, the token will become the addressing system. And what that means is, let's say you sign up for a dApp, let's say it's somebody's blog, and maybe they charge you like 1 token to sign up. That token has an address, and that address will be linked to you, and when you run your dApp, when they push data to you, it'll come to you through that token address. So these tokens and the coins become the lifeblood of the main net, where they link everything together. Now, I don't know if any of you remember the early days of the internet, where Napster and Nutella were big. And, you know, back then, and even now, it's like the wild, wild west. You know, Napster was this public repository of every song recorded. And then we realized we were breaking the law, and, you know, the party ended. But in a way, I think that's what the internet is like today, because everything's free. You know, hardly anyone charges a subscription for their website, and they really can't, because it would be a pain in the ass for them to charge us 32 cents a month or a page load. And, you know, frankly, most websites aren't worth paying for, especially not like $5 a month or anything like that. So it's really hard to monetize the internet right now. You've got advertisements, and all that revenue goes to the website owner. I don't know if you've read the Facebook user agreement, but it says that Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook owns everything that you upload to Facebook. All of your photos, all of your videos, that becomes their property. They get to monetize that. They get all of the income from all of the advertisements that people see. And Justin Sun wants to do away with that paradigm. He wants to create a distributed internet, or a decentralized internet. So the old internet was centralized. You have one server, one web server, and it serves the web page. Like Facebook, they may have hundreds of servers by now, but they are the one entity who owns the website. And then there's a decentralized web, and that's like Nutella or BitTorrent. If you've ever done a torrent download, that's a perfect example of a decentralized internet. Bitcoin is a truly decentralized cryptocurrency, because everybody can join in and try to mine, or, you know, you don't have to do anything, you don't have to be anyone special. A distributed internet or system is what Tron has proposed, and it's also what Ripple has going on right now. Ripple happens to run a privately decentralized or distributed net. Tron wants to run a distributed net that they don't own. They have decided to outsource the operation of their net. Totally opposite of what Ripple's done. They're very similar setups, but Ripple has retained ownership of their distributed network. So let me kind of catch up with my notes here, because I've been skipping around. So I have started a community-run organization to be one of the operators of a node on the Tron Main Net. So yeah, there is a significant technological requirement for this position. So I've been running one of these witness nodes from the very beginning. I actually wrote a how-to for running one of those witness nodes, and now I'm kind of moving on to documenting the network administration requirements. I've actually forked the Tron wiki and contributed to that, and my changes have been added to the official wiki, and they're about to be merged. So I'm very active in my role here as a network administrator for the Tron Main Net. Our group has entered into a strategic partnership with the Sesame Seeds group. I want to welcome Sesame Seeds, who just joined us. Together, we're running a help group on Telegram, and we are going to join together to create best practices for running these nodes on the mainnet to kind of keep everybody on the same page, create a lot of consistency of information among the delegates, the super representatives who are running for these positions. And it's just going to make the community a lot stronger. I've had some experience in political campaigns and primaries, and I've seen how those devolve into these ugly wars, these bloody wars. And the end effect of that is just lowering participation for the general election. And I want to avoid that at all costs. I think it's very impressive what the Tron community has done so far. I want to support and strengthen that community. I don't want to be an agent of toxicity in this community. So I'm doing my best to, join in, share all the information that I have, and try to work in cooperation with as many of these groups who are willing to work with us. So right now, it's just Sesame Seeds and us, and that's good because we agree pretty much on everything. So Sesame Seeds and us and all of these other independent groups are running to be nodes on the Tron Main Net. And what that is going to entail is, so some people tend to think that it's just some guy in a server, and he's got it kind of a cushy job, and he's got it made because Tron's going to reimburse him for all of these expenses. The long and short of it is Tron recommends a monthly budget of $40,000 a month. And that's just to start. You take somebody like a Tron strategic partner, Odyssey, OCN network, they are building a cluster of 150 AMD EPYC servers. Okay, so they're going way beyond this $40,000 a month budget. In return, Tron will reward these super representative nodes with 32 Tronics per block. There's going to be 27 of these nodes elected to produce blocks, and then they will rotate through producing blocks at 1 per second, or about 2 per minute per super representative. That works out to 100,000 Tronics tokens or coins every day. Right now, the value of that is about $9,000. So back of the envelope math shows that there's a potential for a lot of leftover money. Some place like Odyssey isn't going to have any money left over. They're spending the entire wad on their IT budget. The independent community-run groups plan on having a remainder. And the general plan is to reward the Tron coin holders who voted us into this position of super representative. Now that's going to be a video stream for another day. I'll outline the specific proposal that Community Node org has come up with. It's still kind of being fleshed out right now. Tron is giving us new information daily, and that's really significantly impacting our business plans and just our sort of general plan of action. Things are changing all the time. We're still writing our fact. So please be patient with the exact details. We will be implementing the rewards program. It will not be a get-rich-quick program. It will not be 120% annual return. We're looking somewhere closer to the 6% annual return. But really what a lot of that has to do is with how many votes is it going to take for us to get into one of these positions, because that's going to directly affect how wide we're going to have to split that reward, how many people are going to be sharing in that reward. So there are a lot of factors that are coming into play when it comes to issuing these rewards. The role of the super representative is to support the Tron community. And now that is our first priority. We want to provide all the tools that you need to be successful using the Tron Main Net. One of the things that my organization has done is we've created a private version of the Tron Test Net. And we're going to keep adding to that and upgrading it when it turns into the main net. So what we'll have is a replica of the main net running in parallel to it, where you can try out all the features of the main net. Right now, Tron's letting you create a wallet and get test tokens and send them and create tokens. We'll have all of that features too, but what we'll also have is the ability for you to create a distributed application and upload that, see how it runs, see how it feels, practice creating your token, because when it goes live and you create one of your applications, it's going to consume 1,024 Tron coins, Tronix coins. Those are going to be burnt off in a coin burn and taken out of circulation. And so right now that's about 80 bucks. It's not something you want to mess up. So we're going to give you this staging platform where you can get it right before you go live. Eventually, after I have gotten this organization up and running and we're successful, we've been elected to be a super representative node, I'm going to hand control of the organization over to a publicly run entity. That entity will be made up of our organization supporters, and they'll be able to vote on the board of directors and all of our executives, and have a direct role in the running of the Tron Main Net. When the Tron Main Net is running, they will be asking their super representatives to assist with the management and managerial direction of the main net and with Tron Labs. And we hope to pass on some of that responsibility to our supporters. So any question that Tron asks of us as super representatives, we're going to pass that along to our supporters and pose that same question to them. And in that way, it will allow them to participate in this decentralized version of the Tron Main Net and really kind of own a piece of not just the ownership of the main net, but really, having a say in the future of it and what's going to happen with it when it changes. So that's pretty much the long and short of our proposal here. We are currently adding members to our team. We'll be entering our application to the Tron Super Representative election here in the coming days. And we're still looking for team members. If you want to have an active role in this organization, we welcome your participation. Currently, I'm the CTO and system administrator. I'm always looking for Unix gurus who want to come on board with that project. But we need people for all types of positions. If you have experience in nonprofit administration, bookkeeping, blogging, website development, just all sorts of things, and feel free to take the initiative. If you think that there's something that we need to add to our team, go ahead and propose that. Now, I've got a question here. What about Tron Power? Okay, Tron Power was the original Tron white paper proposal for what I've been calling the Tron 20 token. It's very similar to the ERC token. So Tron Power is going to be this token that you can create your own version. It's sort of like a subset of the Tronix coin. What you may be asking about the Tron Power is also Tron's proposal of locking up Tronix coins, which would then give the coin holder voting rights in the Tron Main Net. And that was just announced yesterday. Tron wants you to lock up your coins for 3 days in order to have voting rights. I kind of disagree with the 3-day thing, but I do agree with the general principle of it, because what I had originally seen as a big hole in their plan was, what if I'm a day trader and I've got 100,000 Tron tokens and I exercise those voting rights in the morning, and then I sell those coins, and in the afternoon I buy more, and then so I've got a whole new set of coins and a whole new voting rights that I'm going to exercise. And so even though I still only hold 100,000 Tronix coins, I'll have exercised the voting rights for 200,000 Tronix coins that day. So that's a no-go. And Tron has developed a system for preventing that. That's the reason for the 3-day lock, the 3-day freeze. So that's what Tron Power is. You don't lose your Tron coins, you just lose the ability to trade them. After 3 days, you can unfreeze those coins, and and then they're like regular Tron coins again. Okay, so well on the positive, it puts big vote incentives in super representatives on the line, neck on the line. It really does. It is becoming a greater responsibility to be one of these super representatives. Um, when it was first announced and everybody started running these witness nodes, I think we all thought that we were going to be running super representatives. And as more and more information comes out, you know, as I've seen the investment that Odyssey's making, I've seen sort of the requirements that Tron wants the voters to have, some of the requirements that the super representative is going to have. They'll have to pay a 100,000 Tronix coin entry fee into this. So that's a pretty significant barrier. Wasn't too bad a month ago when it was only $4,000. Right now it's $8,000. And when the main net launches, good God, who knows how much it's going to be. And I hope the value of Tronix does not go up too much in the meantime, because I don't want it to be too big a barrier for me to enter this. Because I tell you, I don't have 100,000 Tronix coins for this project. I will be looking for people, even if it's 1,000 people each paying in 100 coins each, or 100 people with 1,000 coins each. I'm going to need the community to show their appreciation and their support for our organization when it comes time for the selection. So, you know, in the meantime, I have a plan, and you can read about it. There's not so much listed at communitynode.org. It links to my GitHub repository, which is updated frequently. And the GitHub has our temporary, or, you know, our current rewards proposal, and sort of some general information, some links to our Telegram group. And that will kind of give you a primer on what the community node proposal is. And so what we're trying to do is bootstrap our organization. I am running this on a shoestring. I'm paying the IT budget out of pocket. I have a plan to ramp up rapidly when the need arises. So right now, I've got the minimum requirements for running a witness node. It's a 4-core CPU and 8 gigabytes of RAM. When things get rolling, I'm going to need at least 200 gigabytes of RAM and 12 cores. And that is just going to be for the first few days of the main net, where we don't expect to have a lot of apps running or have a lot of transactions going on. My initial configuration falls short of Tron's suggested recommendation of a Amazon X1. So that's going to be the first step. I'm not going to pay for that until I'm actually earning as a super representative. So that's the plan. I'm going to scale up as the Tron Main Net launches. If I become a earning super representative, then I'm really going to kick down. And I have a plan for July to really scale out with replication in Docker and Kubernetes. Like I said, you know, this isn't going to be just one guy in a server. This is going to be a really large scale operation, where we want to rise to the same level as Odyssey or Game.com or Paywoo or these really big players. I think I've got a pretty reasonable plan to pull it off. And so I'm just looking for your general support at the moment. I would love to have you join my Twitter feed or our Telegram group. No strings attached. You know, there's no commitment. We're not going to be asking you for, you know, a big, you know, chunk of your time or anything like that. It's all what you want. And if you just want to lurk for a while and see what we're doing, get a little more comfortable with our organization, that's fine too. So I think this is a good stopping point for us. Next time, we're going to go into detail about our specific rewards proposal and a little bit more about what we're doing as an organization as opposed to what some of the other proposals are and what differentiates us. In a nutshell, I mentioned it at the beginning of this telecast, we're going to be an open source movement. I am such a firm adherent to open source, and I think that's the right way to run my organization. I've been very open with sharing my information so far, and so I want people to contribute to the best practices that Sesame Seeds and I are coming up with. Even if you're not in either of our groups, please feel free to fork our repository, contribute to it, you know, give a pull request and we'll add your suggestions to it. We want to make the Tron Main Net as strong as possible. And we're not being secretive about our tips and tricks. We don't want to be that kind of an organization. And we want to mirror the openness and the way that the community has embraced Tron. And we want to be a part of that. It's so impressive. I'm so proud to be a part of Justin Sun's organization and his proposal for this decentralized internet that empowers the average person like you and me. And I've been pausing in the middle of this because I've been forgetting something, and it keeps coming back to me, and then I forget it. So before I was saying that Facebook is an example of the centralized internet. Mark Zuckerberg owns everything that you upload to Facebook. Justin Sun's idea of a decentralized internet puts the ownership of the content back in the people's hands. And before I was talking about how the Tron 20 token will provide a connection between the end users and the applications. What that is also going to do is allow for this monetized version of the internet. What I like to say is that money doesn't have any memory. So a lot of people think that multi-level marketing is a scam, and that's unfortunate because like most multi-level marketing companies are scams, but MLM itself is not. It's just a way of establishing a commission structure, not just for current sales, but for future sales. And so I believe in tomorrow's internet, these credit relationships will persist longer than they do currently. So, like for example, let's say somebody tweets a link to their store, and I retweet that link, and somebody follows my retweet, and they go to the store and they buy something. Uh, Now there exists a way for me to get a commission on that because I was responsible for that sale. That's kind of the way that multi-level marketing works. Is it creates this commission structure. Um, so if you were to try to set up this kind of a network with the way that the internet works currently, you'd lose your mind because the relationships between the people and the relationships between the finances are on separate ledgers. So if only the money or the token for this could remember who sent that person to the store, and when that person goes back to the store in 3 months, those credit relationships can be repeated, those commissions will be repeated. And so this whole Web 4.0 structure that Justin's proposed will allow for all of that. Earlier I was saying that the web is this big free-for-all and nothing really costs anything. In the future, I see the potential for a lot of these little tiny toll booths to be set up on the internet, where if you look at a web page, it's going to cost this really nominal fee, like 1/10 of a penny. Then on the other hand, if you take away any ad blockers from your browser and allow yourself to watch advertisements, well, maybe that website will share their ad revenues with you. And so you could end up getting paid for browsing. And again, we're still talking nominal amounts of money, but it will allow for this monetization of everything. And it's not such a bad thing altogether. It will allow content creators to receive payment for their hard work. And it's really something exciting that we can all look forward to. All right, so I'm getting a little long-winded. I want to thank everyone for joining me tonight, for your questions, for participating in the Tron Main Net, and for your interest in the Tron Super Representative elections. It's a really exciting time to be involved in blockchain and cryptocurrency. I'm a real firm believer in what Tron is doing and in their technology and in their team. They have continued to cherry pick the best talent from Peru and Alibaba and all of the partners that Justin Sun's involved with. They have put together a team about 50 really heavy hitters. And they're young, they're ambitious, they're working day and night. The JavaTron repository is one of the most active repositories on GitHub. It's funny because for a long time everyone said Tron was vaporware and they would never come out with a main net and it would never work and it would never do anything that they're promising to do. And the test net is just kicking butt and taking no prisoners. I have full confidence that the main net will have all of the features that they promise it will. And so it's a real exciting time. Again, thanks for joining me tonight, and we'll see you around the Tron Main Net. So long.